Nicole. Let's talk about it. Tell me all about it. I'm here. I wanna know what's on your mind. Ooh, the world needs to hear from you, and I'm so glad to have a conversation to reach the nation. And it's all about you. We'll help each other to discover innovative ways to positively change the world. Let's talk about, let's talk about, yeah. Let's talk about conversations with Nicole.
Greetings. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I am Nicole Everett, your host. And Conversations with Nicole is a talk show based in Tallahassee, Florida, focused on connecting the community through conversations. And today is what I call Wellness Wednesday. Wellness Wednesday is an opportunity for you, me, and my guests to talk about whatever it is we want to talk about. And today, we are focusing on codependency. Codependency. What are the signs and how do you overcome codependency? And so my very special guest is Coach Brittany. And so before I bring her on, I want to hear from you. We are live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on the Greater Works Network on RokuTV. So in the comments, if you will, put your city and state so I can give you a shout out. It has been a lovely day in Tallahassee today. Hot, sunny, but you could tell fall is in the air a little bit. It's getting darker a little earlier and a little darker in the morning. So the time is about to change. And I think I heard, because I live on the south side, a football game going on at Cox Stadium. You can kind of hear the announcer. So fall is in the air. So I hope y'all are ready. All right. Well, you all are being a little quiet this evening, but that's okay. I know you're here and you'll join us. So I'm going to go ahead and read Coach Brittany's bio. So Coach Brittany Groover is a motivational speaker, a poet, identity coach, host, panelist, and author. And I have a couple of her books, and I have witnessed her and experienced her great poems. She is the mother of two beautiful boys and married to an amazing husband. She grew up in Havana, Florida, which is right down the street here, and later moved to Tallahassee. She has her AA in elementary education and social work, and she started her business, Generational Healing Society, in November of 2021. She has impacted mothers in the community with her My Identity Beyond Motherhood Accelerator, and hopefully she'll tell us more about that. She currently works within the community with mothers and individuals that have aged out of foster care, and her motto is impact is quality over quantity. Y'all help me welcome Coach Brittany. Hey. What's going on, Ladybug? How you doing?
I'm doing good, right?
Good. I'm so glad to have you here. I remember when you first started your business and we had a conversation, and you talking about I'm gonna be, I kind of mentioned or hinted around you possibly being on the show, and I just felt like, you wasn't quite ready. You wasn't quite ready, but I think you're ready now.
Yes. Yeah, I remember where I started. I still remember that conversation. It stuck with me because I'm like, because now it's funny that I was on Facebook today and it popped up some old content I did in 2021 when I first started.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, it was good content, but I didn't really want to do that in particular. I was getting people that were very unhealed, and they were thinking that life coach and therapist was the same. And I was like, oh man, I'm sending the wrong message.
Yeah. It's easy to get it confused, though. It's easy to get it confused. Well, tell the people, who is Coach Brittany? Not what you do. We did talk a little bit about who you are, but in your own words, give us a little more about who Coach Brittany is.
So I don't like to put my labels on me as to who I am. That's something I do. But Coach Brittany, or Brittany, is free spirited, always loving, goofy. Um, I am a mother. That is a blessing that I am a mother, but that's not who Brittany is. I am someone outside of that. I am an encourager. I'm an encourager of myself. I am a person that does the work on myself. I am the person that fully believes in generational healing. I come from trauma and toxicity and different things in my life that were supposed to take me out. I was not supposed to be here, but I learned to look at life differently. I learned to not complain about things, but to look at it as if God is using me to provide a testimony to someone else. So that is Brittany in itself. Just, I'm the same person every day.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. No, I appreciate that. Oftentimes people are stumped when we ask, "Who are you?" Right? And who are you is not necessarily vocation. I mean, we all have jobs or roles and things that we do, but as you have expressed, these are all parts of you. There are many things that make up who you are. Right? Mm-hmm. Yes. So thank you for sharing it. So before we dive in, and I see a number of comments, and I'm going to shout y'all out in just a minute. Tell us a little bit about your business and kind of what prompted you to start it.
So, Generational Healing Society, like you said before, I started it in 2021. Generational Healing Society is something big for me. So when I talk about Generational Healing Society, I get emotional because I'm excited about it. It's about breaking generational curses that are in our community, actively in our community. And the reason I started it is because like I said before, I grew up in a family that believed pushing things under the rug. I didn't get counseling until I was like 22, after having children of my own and realizing that the cycle and the behaviors that I was exhibiting was not healthy for them. I could see me going down the same path of the same things or having the same tendencies as my family. Especially when my mom passed away, I feel like some of her struggles pushed on to me, because I do believe in transgressions traveling down the generational line. And I was just like, I really want to break these generational curses. I really want to. I became obsessed with it. I became obsessed with soul ties and learning that soul ties don't even have to be just lovers. Soul ties can be parents. Soul ties can be friends, and anyone. And so Generational Healing Society was birthed in the fact that I'm going to do the work on myself, right? And then I'm going to do the work. I'm going to help everyone else do the work, because you can't do the work on someone else. They have to actively come in and want to actively participate in their process. So just to go back a little bit, me and my husband, after my mom passed away, and I went through what my counselor described as many deaths in my family, because my whole family turned their back on me. My husband decided that he needed to work on himself, so he wanted a divorce. So there was a lot of things that I am thankful for in that process. First of all, I'm thankful for all that. Now I can see the blessing in my mom passing away. I would have never wrote a book. I would have never wrote I Break Free. I would have never started Generational Healing Society. I would have never been never would have been as vocal and talking about my trauma and my healing and my story. I never would have done that. And then also my husband deciding to do what he needed to do for him, I would have never said, let me look at myself.
Gotcha.
I always thought that it's me, it's them and not me. Like, ain't nothing wrong with me. I am everyone's savior. I'm always doing everything for everyone. It can't be me. But when God positioned me by myself, I was able to look at myself and realize that you're the reason that they are not growing.
Okay.
So that's why I started Generational Healing Society after I did the work on myself.
Gotcha. Yeah. It's funny how when we get into doing the work, and when we're open to being self-aware and being real and truthful with ourselves, the things that we may have missed along the way, we recognize those things through that process. So I'm glad you're doing this work, and you're going to tell us a little later about an event that you have coming up. So before we again jump in, I want to acknowledge the folks that are here with us this evening. Ozzy Daniel, our clinician friend who is in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Happy Hump Day, he says. My cousin Denise, who is in Texas. T. Scott, who is also in Texas. Thank you for being here. Please give Jasmine and baby boy I love. Miss Jeanette in Miami Gardens. Thank you for being here. Y'all, we are having some technical difficulties tonight. I don't know what is going on with this internet, but that's all right. We're going to push right through. All right. Ozzy said fall is not in the air over here in Virginia. It is so hot that I thought the sun moved in a little closer. Yeah. It's still summer. It's not fall yet. I felt it on my back and had what? A shirt on. Oh my gosh. Lord have mercy. Keosha tuning in from Tallahassee. Thank you for being here. Miss Benicia Hires, who's a clinician here in Tallahassee. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Tanika Joyce, thank you for being here. Marjorie, where you been? Marjorie used to be on here all the time, so I'm so glad you're here, Marjorie. Marjorie's in Central Florida. She said that self-reflection and accountability is a struggle, yet so necessary for growth and forward movement. Absolutely, Marjorie. Great point. And Miss Felicia Dilbert is on. Thank you for being here. Mom is on in South Florida as well. Thank you for being here, Mom. Appreciate you. All right. So codependency. That's what we're talking about. I think we absolutely need to start out by defining it. And then we also will explore what are the signs and how do you overcome codependency. So
codependency. First of all, let me tell you this. I didn't even know what codependency was until 2018, I think it was. When I went to a church that was doing something like Alcohol Anonymous, and it was actually, they had one for Codependency Anonymous, and we would get these chips. And a friend in the church offered me that particular thing because I was describing things to him, and he was like, I think you're codependent. And I was like, what is codependency? So I went and tried it out. Now, at the time, I didn't remain consistent because I didn't see a purpose in it yet. So it wasn't until 2019, 2020 that I really started like delving into it. I was like, what is this? And then I found out that codependency is excessive emotional or psychological reliance on a partner. Like, it's literally like it's wired in you. I kept trying to figure out, why do I feel like I'm people's savior? Why do I feel like I'm responsible for people's growth? And really it started because I was responsible at a young age. As a child, my mom would tell me that I'm responsible for my brothers and sisters all the time. They had disabilities. My mom would talk to me about adult things, you know, if she was going through something. And I'm not talking about like, no, it was intense, right? I would know everything about bills and everything because she thought that I was the one that was educated enough to understand what she was going through as a single parent, right? She didn't do it intentionally and she didn't know what it was, right? And then I also, even from a young age, seeing my family be alcoholics. I'm just being honest. They were alcoholics. And so I would cry and have anxiety attacks because I'm just like, I'm responsible for them. I have to help them improve. Even from a young age, at a young age, I felt like I needed to help them improve. So as an adult, it became excessive. When they called me for money or when anyone called me for help, I would pour into them. I would go into debt. I would do all these things to help them succeed. I would be their motivational speaker. I would be their go-to girl. And then get mad when they don't take my advice so they don't improve. Because they came around for one particular reason. They didn't come around to grow. So I had to realize that, okay, it's a little bit excessive, Brittany. You're not responsible for that. I've lost a lot of friendships because of my codependency. I've allowed them to excessively depend on me and me depend on them for my validation.
Wow.
So that's what it is.
Wow. So, and I hope you all kind of got that, but it can exist not only in family relationships, but also in intimate relationships, in friendships, And so, it's something that I'm glad we're talking about, because I think maybe, and I was saying this to Brittany before we came on, that probably a lot of us are in denial about that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What codependency is and being codependent. I think probably one of the more deceptive relationships might be the parent-child relationship.
Yeah.
As you have just expressed, what you were going through with your mom, because of course, as parents, you are caring for your children. And so there's a certain level of protection and um, accountability, responsibility that you have for your children. But sometimes we can take that to the extreme, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes almost numbing, being honest, because even though it's not intentionally done, it can happen so fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to express your feelings, right? As a parent, I express my feelings all the time to my kids. I tell them when they frustrate me, I tell them when they're doing too much. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to go to them and be like, hey, I'm struggling with these bills, right? And I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do it. Or I'm not going to be like, hey, I'm say my son's name's Noel. You're responsible for your brother Noah. That's one of the biggest ones we hear often. When you actively tell a child they're responsible for their sibling, that puts a lot of stress on them, that puts a lot of anxiety on them, that makes them feel like no matter what happens, they're responsible for that child. If something bad happens, it's their fault. And that's something that we don't even realize we do. We're just telling them be a big brother, but your wording matters.
Yeah. So definitely words make a difference. And, yes, you are responsible for your siblings to an extent, in terms
Mm-hmm.
of, being a support to them, maybe coming to their rescue outside of the home, especially,
Yeah,
but not to the extent that, now you're taking, as a sibling, you're taking on a parent role, especially if the parents are
exactly.
there.
Right.
It's a different thing if that's not the case. But if the parents are there, no, that should not be the case. We got folks chiming in, so let me pause real quick. We have Sandy Al on. Thank you for being here. Tanika Joy said reflection and growth is necessary in all relationship forms. Yes, that's also key to emotional maturity and health. Yes, Tanika
Yeah,
Joyce,
yeah,
absolutely.
it is.
Mom says this is so important to discuss. Thank you. All right. We got LaCarsha from Pensacola. Thank you for being here. And my friend Sharice is here. Thank you for being here. All right. And Tanika said, yes, that's a lot of weight for them to become attached to. Well said. Yes. All right. So when we talk about we talked about codependency in terms of relationships, but what are some of the other signs that that we may be that we may not be aware of, but that codependency may be taking place in our relationships?
So lack of boundaries.
Mm, okay.
You have this mindset that this invisible expectation matters, right? People
Mhm.
are supposed to think like you. People are supposed to act like you. People are supposed to know how much you can take. If your friend or your mom or someone asks you for something, and you're just thinking in your head like, "Oh my goodness, they should know that I can't actively do it,"
Mhm.
right? But no, you have to communicate. You have to stand firm in your boundaries. So someone that is codependent has a lack of boundaries. They're going to be overwhelmed or stressed or pulled thin.
Mm,
Their mental health is not going to be great.
yeah.
Um,
Uh-oh.
when you go into relationships, I realize that some people have that main character syndrome. But when people are talking to me, I have to really voice, hey, what I'm feeling matters as well. Right?
Mm,
Because now I'm in a different mind space. But in the past, I would take on people's advice as if it was for me. Like
mhm.
whatever they told me to do, I will move. That was and I had to realize my codependency was playing a big part in that. So not trusting yourself, you have poor self-esteem, like you said in the beginning, you're a caretaker. Poor communication, right? Because you have the lack of boundaries. So you have the poor communication as well. You're a people pleaser. You are an enabler. And you're basically relying on them, each other spiritually, emotionally, and physically. So me and my mom's relationship was very codependent. And that is the reason it hurt so bad when she passed away. It wasn't normal grief, right? It was almost like when I lost her, I didn't know who I was. My husband was just like, I don't know who you are. What's going on? Like, you don't act like you. It's like you don't. I lost me. I didn't lose a part of me. I lost me because my whole life was in making sure she was good. My whole life was in making sure her health was good. She was okay. It was a call every day. We talked every single day, probably multiple times a day. So my identity was in her, and her identity was in me, because I was the child that didn't have a disability.
Yeah.
So those are some things that
that's a heavy burden to carry. That is. I see we have a few other folks that have joined us. Dee Dee, yes, good one. Need boundaries for sure. Frankel, thank you for being here. And Sister Ebonici Unyo, she is on with us. Thank you for being here, my sister. Let me see. All right. Marjorie said, I had to realize when people are telling you their issues or venting, it is not for me to take on. You can listen, pray for them, offer good advice. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. Dee Dee, we need to think other people owe us what we need from ourselves. We tend to think other people owe us what we need from ourselves. Absolutely. We have Alethea is on with us. Thank you for being here. Iris, thank you for being here. She said, good point. Sometimes people give us advice that is meant for them, and that advice does not work for us. Knowing what is for us and what is not for us is important. Absolutely. Absolutely. And child neglect also causes codependency.
Yes, it does. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, for sure. Tanika said, and yes, couldn't agree more. Advice can be a two-edged sword. Yes. So, in that this has been mentioned by a few people, it is bringing to my mind the thought about spirituality. What role does spirituality play in your life and in codependency, right? I guess your ability to maybe discern what's being told to you and whether it is for you. I mean, are you supposed to come to this person's rescue or just be a sounding board, or what?
So like I said, when I said my codependency used to be so bad that when I go to church, I would think everything the pastor said was for me, right? Excessive. Every advice that a friend or someone in the congregation would give me, I would take as it's for me. And one of the biggest things is codependency is also you're seeking validation from others, and you receive your validation, your need to live from others, right? It's not like you can be out in the woods and you just like, okay, I'm at peace, I'm okay. No, you need it. It's a drug, because codependency is really an addiction, right? Time.
It's interesting that you say that codependency is an addiction. Codependency is an addiction. So again, I feel like it's a fine line between this and our desire to be loved and to love. I think all human beings desire to love and be loved, right?
Definitely different, but it's excessive. Like you wake up and you're not happy unless you're feeling filled from someone else. So when you talked about spirituality, I really had to take a step back. And my counselor helped me with this. Black man, I love that man. I'm still go to him. Back in 2020, he said, what is something you struggle with? I said, I feel like I have to be a chameleon for everyone. Like I have to and move and groove how everyone wants me to groove, because this is what I've been taught. And anything outside of being what everyone else wanted me to be was wrong. Like, it's not right, right? And he was like, he asked me one simple question. And I was just like, this is so simple. I should have thought about this, because I overanalyze myself, right? He's like, isn't that exhausting? And that stuck with me. I still talk about it to this day, because I was just like, man, it is exhausting. Like, like, I'm exhausted. I feel drained. That was one of the reasons I had to voluntary Baker Act myself back in 2020, because I felt drained. I felt like I didn't know who I was, because I was constantly taking on the responsibility. So when spirituality, one thing that I did, which what my counselor coached me through, he said, put your phone on do not disturb. Spend this time, however long it takes, however long, it does not matter. People are going to be hurt. People are going to be confused, because you're changing the narrative. You're changing your direction. And people were bothered, like, legit. Some people don't talk to me to this day, but I am healthier. I'm not paying people light bills and hoping that they change the way they spend their money. And also, I'm not taking care of their kids when they have multiple men and be worried, because I'm allowing my trauma or my triggers to be like, man, this should just make sense to them. You shouldn't have everyone around your kids, right? I'm not letting all of their burdens and their weight affect me, right? So I'm spending more time with God, and what God has really been dealing with me this year in, he's saying, talk to me first. That's where the discernment comes in. When people give me advice, it may seem that, oh man, she ain't moving, she ain't taking it, right? But I have to move that way, because I know what codependency feel like, and me doubting myself. And I can change direction based off of your advice, because the enemy can use anyone, right? It could be something so small that is meant in love and meant to help you grow from the person, but the enemy can use that to redirect, right? Knowing that you have these struggles and these triggers. So I have to go to God first. I have to talk to God. I have to get in my quiet place. And when I'm not in my quiet place, Brittany ain't Brittany, right? Brittany is all over the place. So knowing what I need, that is something I know I need. I can't function without God. I can't function without journaling. I can't function without sitting and being and dealing with my feelings, right? So that is going to be the biggest thing. Spirituality plays a big role. I don't care what you believe in, but spirituality, you got to believe in something greater than yourself, because it is something.
Yeah, so we got a lot of comments. We got Taylor Parks on with us. Thank you for being here, Taylor. She said, big facts. Codependency is an addiction that's hard to recognize. Felicia, unfortunately, religious folks can lead people to believe that boundaries are demonic. Absolutely not.
That's a big one.
Yes, Taylor, we can't use the external to fill internal voids. Self-love is always the answer. Absolutely. Alethea, wow, I never thought about the existence of codependency in one's spirituality, but yes, very, very true. Sandy, knowing yourself, truly seeing yourself as God does, and holding him accountable for others frees you. Place is definitely important. All right, Karsha agreed. My sister friend Susan from Virginia is on. Queen Abeniche, she said we cannot get in the way of other people's karma.
Oh, that's a big one.
That's a big one. Marjorie, this is how you know it's an addiction. Putting the phone on do not disturb would give me anxiety.
It gave me anxiety. But why did it give you anxiety? The reason it gave me anxiety was because I was afraid of letting people down. I was a people pleaser.
Yes. So as I am talking about this, I have also struggled with codependency as myself, and I'll share a little bit of my story a little bit later. Ira said, yes, codependency keeps people stuck in relationships and places they should not be in. Yes, codependency makes a person feel like they have to take care of everyone else before taking care of self, and that was also me as well. Abeniche, when people dealing with people, when God is dealing with people, we must step aside. Amen. Yes, Alethea, me too. He's directing me to speak to him first and reminding me about a time when God clearly said, I didn't tell you to
Tell you
do
that.
that. You did
That's a
that
big
on
one.
your own. Mm,
Ooh,
boom.
don't it hurt when he spank you?
Listen, listen. But he chastises those he loves. Sorry, knowing that God communicates with me as well as church leadership breaks the yoke of codependency. Absolutely. And Tanika, yes, we had this talk and I love, love, love it. Spirituality is best at peace. Step to God first and the rest will fall in place, whether it's to be, let it go, or let it go or to grow. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So Ebony J is agreeing. And so her comment was when God's dealing with people, we must step aside. That's a big one.
That's a big one. That's a
That's a big
struggle when
one.
you've been raised to be people's savior and you tell people
But
tell you like,
we
yeah.
can't. We can't. We can't. People got to come to their own rescue sometimes. We can't rescue them all the
Ooh.
time. We cannot. And so that's sometimes that might be a rude awakening for us, but I'm telling you, we're going to be better off as a result of it. So, listen, we are a little more than halfway through the show. So, for those of you who are just joining us, I am Nicole Everett. This is Wellness Wednesday, and on with me is Coach Brittany, and we're talking about codependency. What are the signs, and how do you overcome? So, we've talked about boundaries, we've talked about spirituality, we've talked about um, the fact that sometimes we feel like we need to come to people's rescue, or we have to be validated by people outside of ourselves. And there's some dysfunction in our family sometimes as it relates to that, right?
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
said, my family were they was excessive alcoholics. Like I literally would not touch a drink for a while because I'm just like, I'm gonna be that way. I don't
Mhm.
want to be that way. I've saved them so much from everything, so I'm not gonna touch it because it's in me. Like I had one of my family members said, "You're gonna be just like your aunt," and
Mm.
I'm like, well, I'm seeing these things as a child. I'm like, dang, I'm gonna be like that, so ain't no hope for me. Like,
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. So Alethea said, yes, yes, yes. I felt it like a wasp or a hornet sting. That encounter was years ago, but that sting seemed so fresh. And that was when she heard God clearly tell her, I didn't tell you to do that. You did that on your own. All right. Sandy said, my salvation was bought by the blood, not my pastor. This shaming in spiritual places starts early and is a learned behavior. Yeah, you definitely have to, spirituality is outside of religion, although
yes,
exists outside of religion, although we utilize religion oftentimes to engage in our spirituality. But we are spirit beings that have souls that live in these bodies. And so,
yes,
yeah, um, religion we equate it to, but it's not necessarily so.
yeah.
So I want to, shine a little light on again some of these um, other things, other signs, if you will, as it relates to codependency. Right. So I when I did my bit of research, it talked about levels of narcissism.
Oh,
Hmm. And feeling the need to be liked by everybody, so that whole people pleasing piece, and also feeling a need to always be in a relationship.
oh man, that's a big one for me because I wasn't single. Like when I hit eighth grade, I had never been single none more than a week, and I was like that until I got married. Like
Mhm.
my first separation was 2020, and it was the moment where I needed to find myself.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So we got Mr. Warren Cave on with us. Thank you for being here, my brother. Kiosha asks, what does codependency look like between husband and wife?
Ooh. So, oh, I was bad. When I say I was bad, I was bad. Like my husband, we got married young at 21 years of age. We had our first child very young. Like, and I was already mature because I had went through a lot of trauma. So if he didn't do something, or I told him about a specific task that needed to be done at this time and he didn't get it done, I would go do it. Right. Or it would be times where I'll be at work. And my coworkers were also the people that brought me to Christ. Like they did studying the Bible with me. And it was like, Brittany, you don't have boundaries. You're leaving work to go feed the children because you're scared. No, he ain't gonna feed them. And that's not his intention. He feeds them. I fed them when they asked. He fed them on a schedule. So I was very codependent. I was managing him. I was controlling him. See, codependency can also be controlling. So I was trying to control how he moved, how he walked. I wanted him to be a specific way. I had seen men in the church and I was just like, what you doing? Like, you know what I'm saying? You're not where I need to be, and realize that. And I was expecting my happiness to come from him. So I was very codependent on that relationship because I thought that it meant a good thing to be married, no matter what's going on, no matter if they're healthy for you, no matter if they can't maintain different goals, if they don't know where they're going for their life. I remember having a conversation with one of the people in the church. I said, y'all expect me, and this is something they teach in the church, which I don't necessarily agree with. You're telling me that if a man doesn't have direction and you want me to step back, right? Allow them to fail, but fall off the cliff with them, right? I can allow you to fail, but I'm not going with you, right? So that was a big thing for me because I was used to being the driver at all times. I didn't allow him to be a man, and a lot of the times the reason why he didn't grow is because I didn't let him grow. My mom was a single parent and she was the bull. I only knew how to be the bull. I didn't know how to be feminine and soft and letting him lead. I was like, we need to do this, that, and third. It needs to be done. That's how I was. And that's when I learned in 2020 that I was not only controlling, I was narcissistic as well. Like I believed that I knew right. And I minimize your feelings because I know what I'm doing. I know what's right because I was put in a role of management at a young age.
Wow. All right. Kiosha, I hope that answers some of the question. Nora, my cousin Nora's on. She said, true. Dee Dee said, yes, trying to shape and mold your partner is exhausting. It's not our job for us to do that. I had to learn this. Thank you for sharing. Ebonice said, in marriage and relationships, we forget how to stay in our roles. Yes. We got Mama Yada on with us. Thank you for being here, my sister. Ozzy said, free your mind and let it go. It is an unhealthy place to be in by being so codependent. It leads to emotional slavery without any growth. Yes. Ebenezer said, if you are not in alignment, you cannot help your partner come into alignment. We attract what we are a vibrational match to. Good point. Iris, good point. With codependency, we don't trust others to do their part, so we do it for them so they can't disappoint us. I can relate to doing this in the past. So doing it for them. All right. Can you see us, Brittany?
Yeah, I can see
Okay,
it.
I know we having some technical difficulty, but that's all right. We pushing through. All right. Tanika said we definitely have to let them be who they are. It's toxic to self to control or change anyone.
So true.
Yeah. So all great points and things that hopefully resonate with us as we think about our relationships and our loved ones and how we want to govern ourselves, right?
Yeah, it can really help. I just wanted to piggyback off of the question she asked. It really allowed my husband to be very resentful towards me.
I'm sure.
So the whole time I was thinking I was helping. because I view myself as making you better, right? It made him feel very resentful. It made him, God had to just tell me, like, nah, it's you, sis. It's you. It's you too. Yeah, he did his dirt, but no, it's you too. Like, I was so shamed.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think also too, having the awareness and the ability to listen and receive that issue too. You know what I'm saying? Because again, we could be in denial, we could be on one, if you will, because we right. We got to prove our point. We know better. We got all the answers. We. I. It's all about me, right? And
Right.
so, to the extent that we can, again, have this level of self awareness that we can like back up and be able to hear that, hey, you got a piece of this too. You know what I'm saying? And so, where's your accountability? Where's your responsibility in this matter?
Yes, that's a big
Mhm.
one.
Yes.
But people have to decide. It's one of the biggest things. You have to decide to be aware.
Hmm. So Sandy said, owning our true selves helps break the chains that bind unhealthy relationships.
Yes,
Very
I
well
agree.
said. Very well said. So I will share that I too have had my struggles with codependency. I didn't know that's what it was called at the time, but definitely people pleasing, always doing for others, putting myself on the back burner. And back in, I think it was maybe 96, 97.
Mhm.
Actually, it was 97, 98. I did an excommunication. I changed my number, only gave it to my immediate
Mm.
family, and I told folks, don't try to call me, I'll call you, give me about 6 months. And so I did a lot of fasting, a lot of praying, and the fasts weren't always food fast. It was sometimes word fast, where I would not consume television and radio and media. um and so yeah, it definitely, it it made my ear keener in order to hear, to get direction, and really have a closer walk with God. And so, I think that it helped me find my voice. It helped me find my no. And
Whew.
yeah, that's important. That's important. We have got to
Say no.
be able to know ourselves and love ourselves on those types of levels. Hmm. So, we got a couple more comments. Lakasha said, that was me in my last relationship, being controlling and trying to change him. I definitely drained myself, now, but now I see now you have to let a person change on their own. Absolutely. Sandy, yes, ma'am. When you get to a point of teaching others how they must treat you, the healing begins. Absolutely. Abonice, we need more inner conversations and introspection. Yes. Yes, yes, yes to all of that. Powerful. Hey, Tina. Thank you for joining us. Tina is with She Speaks Solutions down in Tampa, Florida. All right, Iris, in the past, I remember being defensive when I learned I was codependent. I wanted to put all of the blame for the relationship malfunctions on others when I played a role in it too.
That was
Yes,
me.
yes, 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 yes. So don't be defensive. Just be honest with yourself, and then make some changes. Make some changes. It's not necessarily going to be easy because you're so used to being you and doing what you do, but it is possible. It's more than possible.
Yeah.
Um, so yes. So how do we overcome this codependency? I know you said setting boundaries definitely was one thing that you said. What
But
else can
even going
Mhm.
back before you even get to setting boundaries, you got to become self-aware. There's a
self
lot of times, like I said, we can be in someone's place and someone's space and try to change your narrative, or tell them where they're going wrong, or tell them how they can improve, when people really ain't ask for your advice, but people rather ruminate, right? They want to just talk about things over and over and over again. And I myself had also been guilty of that, right? But becoming self-aware, sometimes you got to take a step back to see yourself. You cannot see yourself until you off in the desert, right? Jesus was off in the desert. Like, you gotta see yourself. He modeled what we need to do. You know, he modeled what we need to do to become self-aware. You got to get by yourself. You got to separate yourself from so many people, whether they were good or bad, to realize where you need to improve, where you need to grow. So becoming self-aware. The next thing is the mindset shift, right? That's where, okay, now that you're self-aware, you see where you need to improve. Now you need to work on shifting your mind. Now you need to figure out what's actually being said in your mind to make you believe these things about yourself. Are you believing this because someone told you this for years and years and years and it started becoming your own thoughts? Or are you believing this because this is something that you believe about yourself? So it's shifting your mind. You have to see, nah, these ain't my thoughts. This is actually my trauma. This is actually what my mom told me from years ago. This is actually something I felt when I was on a job. I felt like I was inadequate. This is something that I am doing to myself. Like, I had to shift my mind from blaming others to looking at me. And that took a lot of my spirituality and me actually having dialect with me and God. Like,
dialogue with you and God. So I want to add just one thing to what you're saying about that mindset shift. And that is to challenge your thoughts. Like, are they true? Are they factual? Or are these just feelings that you are experiencing? Thoughts and feelings. Now, thoughts and feelings are two different things. We oftentimes merge them as if they are one, but they are two different things. So is this, this thought true? Are these feelings true? Sometimes feelings as Kiosha says, feelings are not facts.
They're not.
So challenge those feelings and really lean in terms of helping you to shift that mindset.
Yeah. So like you said, feelings are not facts. So you really have to differentiate, right? You're gonna have to go through your mind, your subconscious, and figure out, is this something I felt from something I experienced? Like, there were some things that happened at a certain time of the year in my childhood that affected me.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, okay, I'm supposed to be going through this, but it really was a feeling wrapped around something that happened, right? My thoughts and my feelings, like you said, they are separate. So there are some thoughts we have that are very intrusive, right? But our feelings, you can't let your feelings guide you, because you be going down the wrong route altogether. So that's with the mindset shift. You have to differentiate, like you said, between feelings, your thoughts, and other people's thoughts. Because that circulates in your brain too. So now you got all this going on, especially with someone like me that had anxiety and depression and intrusive thoughts and postpartum depression. All of that ran together. So I had to figure out what was real and what wasn't. Is this person really thinking that I'm inadequate, or is it just me feeling that way?
Indeed. Dee Dee said she did a 9-year hiatus from social media and some personal isolation. It was the healthiest thing I could have done for myself. Yes. Dr. Parks, how you doing, Dr. Parks? Dr. Parks is a psychologist in Atlanta, Georgia. He said, your thoughts betray you. They can. Your feelings can betray you as well. So just check them. Check them. Check your thoughts, check your feelings, and make sure they are really what they are presenting themselves as. Okay.
One of the questions I ask myself is, am I tripping? I'd be like, am I tripping? And then I'll go ask someone else, a very trusted person, am I tripping? And they explain it to me. He's like, nah, you and your feelings, you tripping. So you got to have that community around you to help you shift your mindset too.
Indeed. So that's another way that we can overcome. Sister Ebonice said, emotions are only energies in motion. Sandy, retaining the mind and stop justifying non-life affirming practices. The battleground is the mind. Absolutely. Absolutely. Kiosha, interesting how deliverance from codependency comes from turning to and depending on God.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's the aspect of it for sure.
Very interesting. Uh, Felicia, this is extremely healthy and much needed conversation, ladies. Love you both. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Felicia. Appreciate you being on here. That's what we here for. That's what we here for. Ebonice, feelings are experiences in your response to what is happening externally. It could be internal too, though, sometimes. And I think it's, again, those thoughts. Like there's a whole thing called the cognitive triangle, which is the thoughts, which, feelings come from the thoughts, and then there's actions as a result of the feelings, right? And
Fight or
so
flight.
change our thoughts, we can change those actions because we're going to change those feelings. We can choose to think something else. We can choose to feel another way.
Yes, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I one of the things I would do is I would always think something bad is going to happen to me. It'll be rooted in my trauma and what I experienced. But like you said, I had to, and people think it's going to be easy to transform your mind. If you done went through 17 years of trauma, right? You done just been through the ringer of 17 years of negative thinking. It is not going to happen overnight. And people tend to give up on the mindset shift because you literally have to reprogram your brain, your thoughts. Like you said, eliminating certain things. Like there's some things I can't watch on TV.
Yeah.
Because it takes me back to that negative way of thinking. So there is some things you're physically going to have to change.
And it's okay. I think a lot of times, we maybe feel peer pressure, if you will, and I'll just call it that for lack of a better term. But for Dee Dee, for instance, to say she took a 9-year hiatus from social media. Can y'all imagine being on Facebook for 9 years? I mean, I know we've been living longer than Facebook, most of us, but Facebook has become a daily part of our lives. Like we mention Facebook on a daily basis. It comes out of our mouths. So can you imagine a year? Look, a month.
A day, I be struggling. I be taking myself off.
Right. So, but we would have a whole lot of time to do a whole bunch of other things. So I'm just saying. Look, Ozzy said find your 20. So when Ozzy talks about finding your 20, that's 20 minutes of meditation. Yes. Laura said change your mindset in the process. Let's see. Abniche, we allow ourselves to bring that experience into our internal and affect us internally. So she's saying the external because she said it was external. We allow the external to come into us internally and affect us internally. Sandy, this is as close as I get to social media. This world is full of illusions that others buy into each day. My B2K sister invited me. Glad I logged in. We glad you logged in as well. And we got Miss Rashonda on. She said maybe a year off Facebook.
Look, maybe.
Maybe. All right. But it's addictive. It is. Listen,
It's how we run our businesses.
That's a whole nother lie. But anyway. And Sandy said, I've never had Facebook, Instagram, X, or any other platforms. It's a lot to keep up with. It's a lot to manage for sure. But with so many people being on social media is, it's like you feel like you're missing out on something, right? FOMO, right?
Yeah, that fear missing out.
Yes. Ebonici said, we can only control our response to what is happening with us externally. We all need shadow work.
That's true.
Agreed. All right. So any other thoughts or comments around how we overcome as we get ready to close out?
Like I said, behavior shift. So it's self-awareness, mindset shift, and behavior shift. So when you start transforming your mindset after becoming self-aware, then you're ready to change your behaviors. Because a lot of the things that you think in your mind, or a lot of basically your thoughts, they affect your behaviors. You move based off of what you think in your mind. So when you start transforming your mind, you'll start realizing, I don't move like I used to do, like I used to. Like, I just established a boundary with a family member that came back and to try to come back into my life after 5 years. Y'all haven't talked to me in 5 years, and tried to ask me for favors. And I said, and I specifically communicated, no, can't do it, won't do it. I can check on you from time to time, but this door, there's no favors over here. So my behavior has changed because they're used to Brittany from 5 years that will run and move to try to help them. So that behavior shift is going to happen when you change your mindset.
Absolutely. Frank Hill said, I also made several hiatus from social media. It's a great way to reconnect with so many important things that don't exist online. Physical and social environment, most definitely. And so Frank Hill is one of my gardening buddies. We participate in the community garden over in the Providence neighborhood. And so definitely can relate to that as well. Alethea said, I think there's a component of codependency relating to social media because it can be addictive for some people. Indeed. Ozzy, good food tonight. Great conversation indeed. Thank you, Ozzy. Felicia, I'm not on social like I used to be, and it's been a game changer for me. Absolutely. All right, Sharice's topic and information is so good. Thank you. Marjorie, I'm going to say no to somebody tonight. That's my homework. Lord have mercy.
Got it.
All right, Marjorie, tell them no. Tell them no. There's power in that no. All right, so I want to give you an opportunity to give us some closing remarks and also tell folks how they can connect with you.
So my closing remarks, like this says Wellness Wednesday, realize there's wellness in being patient, right? This is not going to happen overnight. When you become self-aware, I am still having moments where I have to redirect my thoughts, my mind, even when I connect with different relationships, even when I'm out into the community as a business partner and different things, and inadequacy and people pleasing, I still have to actively change my mindset. I had to change my mindset before I got on this interview with Nicole, right? So you have to actively, continuously do it. A lot of people, like what they say in spirituality and religion, they say you have to pick up your cross every day. This is our cross. This is something that life has happened and it's become, not one say us, but a part of us. And like I said, because codependency is addictive and it is an addiction, you have to constantly choose to walk out of that. Just like alcoholics, they've been 10 years sober. That don't mean that, okay, so they've been 10 years sober, they can have a drink, because they may relapse. So you have to constantly work on yourself and don't give up, right? Don't let nobody rush your process. Wellness is patience.
All right. And so how can they connect with you?
So on Facebook, I am Generationally Healed Coach Brittany. On Instagram, I am Generational Healing _Society. That is my business page. And then I have another Instagram that is strictly for my poetry. It's Mrs. Lovely Banks, I believe, because I changed it so much, Lord. But those are the 3 ways to get in contact with me. You can also reach out to me personally. If you want to be a part of something I'm doing, you want to collaborate, I don't mind giving my personal number, 850-815-1697. If you ain't trying to do that, then you're gonna get blocked. But okay. But anyway.
That is fine. Yes. Yeah. So tell them about your event you have coming up.
So the Mother's Impact Workshop, right? Because I work so much with codependency, right? So the Mother's Impact Workshop is going to be hands-on experience to help mothers eliminate the excuses around as to why they cannot take care of themselves. We make so many excuses. They say, oh, we don't have the resources, we don't have the tools, we don't have anyone to keep our kids. We make so many excuses because some of us just actively don't want to do the work, right? But this eliminates the excuse. So once you're in the room, you're going to learn how to do things that you wouldn't normally do. And your brain, your mindset is going to be challenged to change, right? You're going to transform. And the reason I'm so passionate about the Mother's Impact Workshop, because I want the mothers to be impacted. I want us to stop believing that our children always come first. We come first, right? We had them, we birthed them, we take care of them, we are their caregiver, correct? I'm not taking away from that. But if your mindset is unchecked, if your spirituality is unchecked, if your mental health is unchecked, then what do you think you're passing to your children?
Hello.
If you have lack of boundaries, you're passing those lack of boundaries to your children. You're teaching them that someone else comes before me. I come before mom, and she's teaching me that I have to be just as selfless. So that the Mother's Impact Workshop is just about that. We don't have people sitting there talking. Going to be hands on, and bring your kids. The kids have a different workshop that's going to be on the other side of the building. So I eliminated that excuse for you as well, because you can bring them. Yeah, it might make you struggle, but they're going to be in another room having the time of their life, and they're going to learn how to make themselves feel full and appreciated. So come out. The tickets are $25. I've reduced them to eliminate another excuse, right?
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. We have gotten all types of comments. Let's see. Sandy, I believe that love is an action word and touch hugs are so important. I refuse to read ebooks. I love the intimacy of turning pages. I came out of the womb saying no. All right, Sandy. And Benicia said there is no obligation to our former selves. Great show. Thank you for sharing. Yes. Mom said we need more of this conversation. Rashonda, everything she said, but honestly, coming into realization of those identifying triggers that keep one complacent to a place of bondage, captivity, and addiction. Absolutely, Rashonda. Eco neighbor, Mr. Robert, how you doing? Enjoying the conversation. We are always evolving. Life is so beautiful when we can embrace the growth of being you. Absolutely, yes. Thank you for that. Wellness is patience. Kiosha said, I like that. Sharice, change doesn't happen overnight. Plant the seed and watch the change grow. Yes. Tanika, giving you a shout out. She said, before I go, I want you all to know Coach Brittany is the type of coach to come sit with you in your car. Listen, that's the new place. That's the new closet for the mamas, the car.
It is.
Because it used to be the bathroom, but them children gonna come to that bathroom. They're gonna knock on that door. They're gonna try to get it. They're gonna stick something underneath the door. They're gonna be trying the door handle, even though you in the bathroom, they don't care. So the car is the new
Nicole. They come to the car too. They come open the door for me like gentlemen. Like they make me feel like I'm appreciated. They'll come and open my door. Okay, mom, I let you out. You can come inside. No, they come to the car too.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. All right. We might have to be down the block a little bit before you come to the house. Because you can't sit in the car in the driveway no more. Oh, but she's saying, mothers, please get your tickets to Mother's Impact Workshop, and you can definitely find out more about it on Brittany's, Coach Brittany's social media platforms. Lakasha, I'm learning to be more patient and calm. Yes. That's great. Mother's Impact Workshop. Yes, Rashonda, let the mamas know. Let them know. Let them know. All right. That's awesome. Awesome, Coach Brittany. Very proud of you, Brittany. Amazing conversation tonight. Yes, yes, yes. It was amazing. I hope this has been beneficial to you all. Definitely follow Coach Brittany, attend the workshop, check her out on social. She's a fabulous poet as well. She's a member of Black on Black Rhyme Back Talk.
Talk back.
All right, there we go. So it is Black on Black Rhyme Week. So Brittany will be in the house. You can check out Black on Black Rhyme and find out what they have going on this week. But yes, this was an amazing show, and we probably need to. It went fast. I'm telling you, we really did. We just kind of, tap the surface. There really is more that we can delve into.
Yeah, we talked about it.
So if you all would like to hear more of this conversation, let us know in the comments. And we'll definitely have to see if we can get Brittany back on sooner rather than later. So for those of you who are maybe new to the platform, I definitely want to invite you to subscribe to the Conversation with Nicole YouTube channel. We are here on Mondays and Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. Our focus is on mental health and wellness in Black and Brown communities specifically, although sometimes we deviate from that a little bit. But primarily, it is all about us getting our checkup from the neck up and connecting with the clinician, connecting with the coach that can help you work through some issues and be great. Be great.
Clinician first.
Yes,
Clinician first.
clinician first. All right. So talk quickly if you can. Difference between a counselor versus a coach, a life coach. Counselor
Woo!
versus a life
So
coach.
counselor, like Miss Nicole, we had a talk years ago, like 2019, 2020. I can't remember. It was somewhere around there, but we had a talk because I didn't quite understand. I understood, but I didn't understand clearly what a coach and a therapist was. And a counselor focused on your past, right? They focus on you healing through that trauma. So when you come to a coach, you can focus on your present and your future. We're a coaches to help you hold yourself accountable and accomplish goals. It's not to work on the trauma. It's not to listen to you. Then we're not certified for that, right? But a therapist, a counselor, I didn't go to a coach first. If I would have went to a coach first, that woman wouldn't have accepted me as her client, because it's a whole like assessment that I had to figure out. Are you in counseling? That's a big thing. That's something that I ask. I can't fix you, but I can help you accomplish your goals when you get your mind together.
That's good. That's good. That's good. And that's what's needed. All right. Folks are saying they want a part 2. We got Coach Merv on here. He says, hey, Sister Brittany, we believe in you. Yes, we do. Absolutely. I have truly enjoyed this conversation. Y'all, let's keep this going. Please share this link with somebody that you think needs it. I actually had somebody text me who did not want to come on the live, but she said that she was just talking to her girlfriend about this about 2 hours ago, about codependency. She didn't know, she couldn't put a name on it, but it's such a great topic. And she said she's been guilty of it. So again, I think we have at least kind of peeled back maybe 1 or 2 layers, of the whole codependency talk. And so let's keep this going. Let's see if we can get Brittany back on again sooner rather than later. And hopefully we will see you all back here for that and for our programming next week. Listen, y'all have a great rest of the week, a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. Bye.